That coronavirus is something, huh? I never would have thought something like that would happen to us. What are you talking about? COVID is a hoax. It's basically the seasonal flu. Wait, what? But look at all the publications on this virus. It's a well-known fact that it's killing millions of people all over the planet. It's not a fact, it's fake news. Actually, the globalist Illuminati elite, has this ever happened to you? Maybe not in this specific context, but has it? It probably has. So what are facts and how do we actually define something as a fact? Let's jump right in. First off, we should probably look at an official definition of what a fact is. Cambridge Dictionary defines a fact as something that is known to have happened or to exist, especially something for which proof exists or about which there is information. But let's, once more, dive in a little deeper and add our own touch to it, shall we? In my opinion, there's two different kinds of facts. On the one hand, you have facts which are 100% undeniable to you. A good example for this kind of fact is that you were born at some point. Let's call them first-degree facts. You being born is literally undeniable, since otherwise you wouldn't be watching this video right now. On the other hand though, there are facts that you're aware of, like for instance the mortality rate of a virus, but you haven't come to that conclusion yourself. Someone else has for you. Let's call those second-degree facts. In this video, I want to specifically focus on these second-degree facts. So let's stick once more with the mortality rate of a virus. In our fictional example, top medicinal personnel all around the world, doctors, scientists, etc., have agreed on a mortality rate of approximately 10% being accurate. Already now, just by saying that, we have enough information to start a furious debate between 2 or 3 different camps of people. Some people will, for instance, read a journal article, see the credentials behind the 10% mortality rate, and assume, since they know that they're credible people, that this is a fact and that these 10% are probably true. This means they perceive it as a fact. Others will simply not be convinced that easily. But there's a big difference between rejecting something categorically and rejecting something based on valid criticism. The beauty of innovation and improvement, and this also goes for facts, is people being able to critically think and question assumptions, approaches, or other factors leading to something being perceived as a fact. Anybody who has ever written a major thesis like a bachelor's or master's thesis will know that oftentimes it is actually quite easy to reject the conclusions made in other scientific pieces by simply searching for literature with different empirical approaches that might yield different or at least varying results. So back to the original point, facts. A second-degree fact is definitely debatable and adjustable given, and I can't stress that enough, the right arguments and criticism. In our example, that would be if another team of doctors came up with a more accurate way of accounting for deaths due to the virus, which would lower, for instance, the mortality rate from 10% to 9%. This would entail that the 10%, which were previously considered a fact, are now actually not a fact anymore. The new fact, in this case, would be the 9% mortality rate. But does that mean that the 10% were not a fact? It does not. The 10% were a fact before the 9% were the improved fact. So why do I call it an improved fact? Basically, because to get to the 9%, we previously needed the 10% publication to get someone or a team to improve the approach. A good analogy to that, as random as it might sound, is the invention of the car. If Carl Benz would have never come up with the concept of the passenger vehicle, no one would have been able to improve on it and get to where we are today. This is why we went from this to this. Now that we have addressed how to properly question or even reject facts based on valid arguments, we will look into the, I want to say, most suboptimal way of rejecting second-degree facts. A huge and growing contemporary problem is misinformation and the fact that people sometimes struggle to identify what seems to be a credible claim and what is simply not. Confirmation bias plays a big role here. People inherently like to be confirmed in what they believe in, since it is easier than dealing with actually ever-changing circumstances. To stick to our virus example, people that simply want to reject the idea of a deadly pandemic will always find plenty articles, people or questionable experts on the internet to confirm their oftentimes baseless beliefs. And while on paper it is every person's good right to reject things they don't want to believe in, even though they actually might be true, it does become a problem for society when others are being put in harm's way through this rejection of reality. When a pandemic rages and people actually die due to the fact that others simply choose to not care because it is an inconvenience to them, the correct definition of a second-degree fact and how to come to the conclusion if something is actually a second-degree fact becomes a societal one. It is the duty of the education system to teach young people early on how to filter and identify facts in today's overflow of information and misinformation. Every person in our society is bombarded by claims, information, misinformation, and comments as soon as they open any of their social media apps. And this is why there is a rapidly growing urgency for society, politicians, and the education system to respond to people getting trapped in echo chambers online and sometimes even going as far as to radicalize themselves and put society at risk. And this should, in my opinion, be prevented preemptively through proper education, because once trapped in a conspiratory belief, it gets increasingly hard to find a constructive dialogue, since people trapped in such theories tend to think that they're ahead of people who are not in on their theories. So, to sum up, the proper definition and recognition of facts has never been more important than in the time of the internet, where oftentimes fact and fiction seem to blend easily for all of us. But now, it's your turn. I genuinely want to hear what you think about the topic. Leave a comment down below, a like, or even a sub if you enjoyed this video. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys soon in the next video. Peace.